for the history of the Bailey's Crossroads area. I had interviewed him on my television show, learned a lot of things that I didn't know, and I just find him to be, we're so thankful and so lucky that he put down in the Fairfax, the new Fairfax stories, all of his reminiscences. And when I was rereading the piece, I thought, I know her, I know him, I know. I thought, wow, we are so lucky, and I hope you continue to do that, because many of us are of an age where if we don't get those stories down, they're going to be lost to future generations. I remember when my mother died about 13 years ago, suddenly realizing that all my connections to the past were gone. And I wished I had asked more questions and had written down more things. Houston, you have done that. Thank you very, very, very much. And I'm going to show Houston something today that he probably hasn't seen. But I wanted to talk just a little bit about this book, too, because it's full of people either I knew or had great regard for. And you've already heard from Keith Mann about Sid Holland. I don't know what Keith may have said about Sid, but I can tell you that Sid was such a valuable friend, a wonderful friend. When I first started running for office back in when I started talking about it in 1994, I already knew Sid through the Democratic Party, and he said, I've got to introduce you to some people. If you're going to win, I need to introduce you to people. And he did. And he introduced me to a lot of people, including Reverend Pilson over at Mount Pleasant Baptist Church, and a number of folks and he gave me that insight that really you need when you're trying to represent a very diverse community. And so I feel that having known Sid Holland for a number of years, golly, what a gift. What a gift. And when I was over at Mount Pleasant Baptist in September for their 141st anniversary, Pastor Pilson told me that they are going to start raising money. They want to do a Sid Holland education center. Boy, we got to get behind that. I mean, for one, it's an education center, but secondly, it will be in the memory of Sid Holland. A lot of people don't realize that we have such a strong African American history in Bailey's Crossroads and in Mason District. In fact, I will tell you that apparently the county didn't realize it either, because several years ago they printed an African American history map, and they have Mount Pleasant Baptist Church and the original school. They had it out in Sully District.
Oh no!
I refused to put that that publication in my office until I fixed it, because this is where a lot of it started. And you have wonderful families like the Summers family, the Holland family, the Robinsons. All of those folks, the families are still here, and we need to make sure that we recognize all the things they did to establish this community. But I wanted to show you something that I came across a few years ago. And Houston, you haven't seen this, and I keep talking to Elizabeth Hall about showing it to her, and I haven't done it yet. Several years ago, a health department employee was cleaning out their files from the Fairfax County Health Department, and they ran across a photo album that the health department had done probably back in the 1940s. From looking at some of the cars in here, we figure it was probably in the 1940s. But it shows, from the health department perspective, what horrible conditions people were living in the Bailey's Crossroads area. And I've made a copy of this. I want Houston and Elizabeth Hall, who some of you know, to go over this and tell me where these were. They remember these. But this says Bailey's Crossroads, and it starts off, you can see these little old photos, Line Road, and then it goes to it's dilapidated outbuildings, humans and chickens, an open well, slop jars, and then here's some more Line Road, the rear of the Fairfax Animal Hospital. I have no clue as to where that might be, but I'll bet some of you do. And then the Munson Road area. I mean, this is not an attractive story, but it tells us what it was like,
Exactly.
and why Houston's family and a whole lot of other families said, we don't want to live this way, we want some improvements. So we got the Munson Road area with, this one says 10 occupants welfare case. Grocery, what does this say? Oh, grossly substandard. They weren't politically correct then. The Munson Road area, again, littered with trash, neglected toilet. They were all outhouses. There was no water. The water was from wells. Here's Line Road again. I don't know where Line Road was, Houston.
Line Road.
We're going to have to get some of
Somebody might know.
the gray heads from the community to talk about this. And then Scoville Lane. We know Scoville Lane. That's now Sunset Manor. Some of these pictures were taken during the snow. Here's a well open for contamination. People didn't have clean drinking water. And then here's some more of Scoville Lane. And then Springdale subdivision. Drainage problems. A secluded shack. Stray dogs near the well. That's not a good thing to have. The Moncure subdivision. Powell Lane. Yes. Reservoir Heights subdivision before they had all those fancy houses there. Outside bath facilities. Can you imagine? And this was probably just after. This was probably just after World War II, I would think, given the kind of photos they are and what we have seen in the kind of automobiles. And then Maple Street, which was Lacey Boulevard, but apparently Lacey, you know, it's Maple on the one side, it was Maple all the way along.
I'll tell you the history of that.
Yes. So anyway, I just found this to be a fascinating find, and I was so glad that the History Commission, or that the Health Department had saved this and made a copy for me, because they thought, as the supervisor, I would be interested. But I also know